I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
And we welcome you in another edition of the Daily Puck Drop here on Wednesday, October 30th, broadcasting live from the Puck Sports Studios, built by Limbeck Lumber Contractors. They got free deliveries for everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, and they've got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They've got old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. Call Limbeck Lumber 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbecklumber.com. Please follow the show on all the social media platforms on Twitter and Instagram, Puck2040, on TikTok at Puck_sports, Facebook, Jason Puckett. There he is, the one and only, the legend. You can follow him on Twitter at Cougs Go, the go-to guy, Jim Moore, live from the hostage room in Bend, Oregon. Good day to you, sir.
Good day to you, Puck. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's the move-in Bend?
It's going okay. Yeah, we're all settled in here for the next 2 or 3 months, something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
We like it. We're down by Discovery Park and have a view of a pond, and a lot of dog owners are happy out here. You know, dog owners, they don't mind dog owners being on the field down here. So apparently there's some, people that are bothered by that in the Ballard area.
I know where you're going with this, and I don't like it. I know what you're doing, and I don't appreciate it because you're setting me up. You're trying to set me up to talk about what I just talked to you about off the air.
No, I know, and you told me you didn't want to talk about it on the air, but I think your
fuck
listeners would probably appreciate it
I'm
because
I'm
it
tired
involved
of
a
them.
confrontation with another Seattle resident.
Yeah, I'm tired of them. I'm fucking tired of them. I've had it with them, and it's not the dog owners. Now you got me all worked up to talk about it. You got me all worked up. Okay, before I get into it, you set me up. You're a professional. You knew I was going to do it. You teed me up perfectly, and you knew I was going to talk about it. And for that, F you. But I also love you because I just knew you were going to do it.
There's a reason you love me, and I'm going to interrupt you, even though you got something really important you want to say.
I don't have anything important to say.
Whatever.
I don't.
It's not that important. $100. I owe you $100 at least, right?
Oh, you do? I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, I'm going to bring it up because I have it on my list of things to do. You want to hear what my list of things to do are?
Yeah.
So my number one on Wednesday is Venmo Puck, okay? But I don't know if I owe you 100 or is it 200. I can't remember if we had a bet on Walker Buehler or not.
We did not officially bet, I don't think, on Walker Buehler, but I could be wrong.
Well, okay, let me just state for the record that I was wrong about Walker Buehler. I thought he would be a piece of shit in the playoffs, and he was highly effective, okay?
He was pretty good.
I was wrong about that. Plus, who in the fuck thought that Russell Wilson would be as good as he was the other night? Good Lord. Or how about
I predicted the line.
The Jets a week or two ago, or when Russell Wilson, I saw he's like 38 for 52 for 547 yards. Come on.
Do you remember? I got to go back and listen to it. Do you remember what I predicted his stat line was going to be? I was pretty goddamn close.
No, were you?
Yes. I was.
Wow.
I think I said 25 or 28 for 300 yards or something. And he was 20.
He
what was
looked
he?
like he looked reborn. Like he was back in Seattle in 2014. I mean, the throws that he had to Pickens. And by the way, I thought that should have been a touchdown. If you get 1 foot down twice, that should count as 2 feet.
I agree with you. I don't. I agree. I think if you toe tap twice with the same foot, that's 2 feet. You're in. Let's go.
Yeah. When they went to review, I thought they're going to come back and say, he got two body parts down. Or wait, it was one body part twice. I mean, that should have counted for a touchdown. But
I agree.
No one in the world except for you and Mike Tomlin thought that Russell Wilson would be that good. All the Steelers fans are going, what are we doing? Why are we moving on from Fields here? He's the future. And look at Russell. Are they going to maybe make it to the Super Bowl with Russell Wilson?
I know. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves now.
Well, they're 6-2. They have a better record than the Ravens right now.
I know, but
I know that the Chiefs are 7-0 or whatever, 8-0, but they look like they're a little flawed. Mahomes isn't the same guy this year.
Yeah, I think it's a little premature to start talking Steelers Super Bowl. Okay, little premature, but I told you the reason he was back. The second that video came out, he's making the cheesy videos again, and he made the cheesy video with Sierra on the Roberto Clemente Bridge. And he's he's got her in lingerie in the house by the fireplace with the roses, and I'm like, he's back. He's old Russell again. And right when I saw that video, I said, guaranteed he's going to have the game. He's going to have a great game on Monday night. And he's back. He's got his mojo back. I'm here for it.
Are we wrong about that stuff? I mean, we all look at it and go, God, that's cheesy, finger down the throat type stuff. But are there a bunch of people out there that are going, God, this is really cool to see Sierra walking down the bridge or Russell in bed saying, Seattle, we got a deal? Are there people that think that stuff is cool and that we're in the minority thinking it's not?
I mean, I think the Sierra stuff is cool. I mean, I'm all for seeing her walk down the bridge in lingerie, but I mean, he's a cheese ball. Like, what do you want? That's just, he's always been that way. I mean, he's not going to change.
Is he going to come up with something at the end of his press conferences like "Go Hawks" and then what was it, Broncos country, let's ride? What do you do in Steeler land?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody
Iron
asked.
City.
Yeah, somebody rock. Like old Goldie Cobb. Does he have another catchphrase on the chat? Which again, you can always ask us questions here on the chat, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube, because we're live every day, Jim, on YouTube and Twitter. Also live on the Puck Sports mobile app. If you don't have the Puck Sports mobile app, download it today. Android one is coming soon. I keep saying that. It's like a broken record.
Yeah, why do you keep saying that?
Because I gotta let
is come and gone with that.
I know.
If it was really soon, it would have been like 2 days ago. Or maybe
it's out of my. It's
so
out of my.
Stop saying soon.
It's out of my control. It's up to the Google Play Store. They make you go through so many hoops. Now we have to have like 10 beta testers test it for like a week. So again, it's after they're done testing it. People are using it. I got a picture from Rebecca. I think it was Rebecca who sent me a picture. She was walking the dogs, listening on the Android app. So anyone it's one of our beta testers on the Android app, send me a screenshot of you listening to the live show. It's always a good reminder to tell everyone, because people listen to this later, and they think we're still just doing a podcast form, and that's all we're doing. We record it, play it later. But again, we go live every day, 10 o'clock. Jim's here is riding along on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But 10 a.m. on Twitter, on YouTube, also on the Puck Sports mobile app. If you don't have it, download it today. And then again, everything gets podcasted later. Just a reminder to people that listen to the show later. So shout out to Rebecca, who had sent me a shot there yesterday. Does he have a catchphrase? I don't think so yet. I asked Garofalo that last week. Joey's got a great idea. Yeah. Steal up. Yeah, that would be a good one. Iron hard. Somebody else came up with that one. I don't know. I'm sure he'll come up with something. What was the Broncos one?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it the other night though when he looked like the Russell of old.
Looked great.
Yeah,
it's the perfect team for him. It just is.
Yeah, you're right. Good defense. They can run the ball. Hard nose. He doesn't have to try and win games by throwing 40 times. He doesn't need to cook there. Although you wait and watch, he'll be wanting to cook more than Tomlin's letting him cook. It'll be the same bullshit.
I don't know. Maybe he's learned his lesson. That this is the best. Because that's like that. The stat line he had on Monday is like his sweet spot. 28 passes.
Yep.
280 yards, a touchdown. No picks. He had the turnover. No picks. That's his right there. That's it.
Well, yeah, even in Seattle when he was in his prime, if he got over 30 passes a game, 30, 35, 40, I mean that range. Of course, you're probably behind in games like that, but his record wasn't good at all.
Someone's saying that he has a catchphrase. Some Heat says it's strive for 5 or win 5. I don't get that.
Okay.
What strive for 5 mean? What does that even mean?
I hope he comes up with something stupid, though. I mean, he needs to come up with something.
Yeah. So you teed me up. You want me to talk? You want me to talk about the other dog incident again yesterday on a baseball field?
Yeah, okay, but I got to Venmo you $100, right, for that.
Yeah, we only bet $100 on Monday night game. I don't think we placed a bet on the Walker Buehler. We may have.
Explain to me why Hugh Millen and I like Danny Dimes. Why do we like Danny Dimes?
I don't know. I honestly, and I love you, and I love Hugh. I love Hugh, but I don't understand his love affair with Daniel Jones. So I don't get it.
I like him too, and I watch.
He's terrible.
Why
he's
do
a
I
terrible
like him?
Quarterback.
Why do I like him? I mean, he's not good. How about the Giants receiver that dropped the ball about 3 yards behind the yellow line? I mean, come on.
Well,
God, bad teams. I know people already know this, but I'll say it just to pound it home again. Bad teams find a way to lose, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Well, how about, you would have won your bet had Malik Neighbors, who has been, the rookie of the year, Malik Neighbors on that slant on 3rd down, 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, the drop.
Yeah. And he might have scored on that.
Well, he would have crossed the yellow line anyway.
Yeah.
You like that drop.
I love the drop. Well, what I didn't love, as I said to you, that when Wilson fumbled, I was like, fucking A. I could just picture you, if you were watching it, celebrating, you're jumping up and down. And it's not because I'm sitting there hyping up Russell Wilson, and he's the one who causes them, to lose a game because he fumbles the ball. And I could see how excited you were, pumping your fists. And then I'm thinking, God, they're going to go down and frickin' score. And it's just, they're not going to cover. It's going to be miserable. And then when Jones threw the pick, I was just like, I jumped up like I was watching the Seahawks win.
Well, no, you're wrong about me jumping up and down because I can't really do that anymore. I'm having knee surgery on the 18th of November, and hopefully I'll be back to jumping up and down.
On the same knee that you had replaced?
Yeah. And then at the end, I wasn't happy. Well, I had scar tissue cleanup. At the end, I wasn't happy about it either because I used what little I had left in my betting account on the Giants money line. And so now I'm down to 0. And so that's on my list of things to do today is to go to MoneyGram with $500 and ship it off to Puerto Rico or wherever
Good.
they are.
That's good. I'm sure. Stop doing
it. You know what's cool though is that most wives, most guys who gamble on sports or play poker or whatever, they keep it a secret from their wives because they don't want their wives to know. My wife, I mean, she gambles as much as I do. She's always playing video poker. And when she heard I was down to 0 on my account, she said, well, honey, you're going to have to do something about that. Why don't you restock it? I was like, oh, God, I got a cool wife telling me that.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Why I still don't understand why you use the site you use.
Well, I don't either. But
because you know what I'm getting at. You don't get paid money back. You're giving them $500
money back, but I'm still. I mean, there was only one time when I tried to get it, and they wanted to give me Bitcoin.
No, you're not. No, you'll never, Jim. You'll never get cash back ever.
Why do you say that?
Because it's an offshore illegal account. They're not going to put money in your account. They'll give you Bitcoin, but not actual cash.
I know, but can't you cash Bitcoin in somewhere?
I don't know, man. You gotta. I don't think so. You gotta double check that. I don't think so. Because the way that Bet US that you're using, it cashes you out in Bitcoin, not actual money. You're just giving this site $500, and you're never going to see it back.
Well, I heard since I'm in Oregon that I could maybe do DraftKings or FanDuel.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand. No. There's Oregon. I just forgot about that. You stop doing the Bet US. You can legally bet in Oregon on your phone.
Well, what's the site?
Oregon. Hold on. God,
well, you can't bet college. One of them you can't bet college.
You can't bet college, but it's whatever. Hold on. Oregon.
Well, whatever. I got to bet college.
Okay, I'm just telling you. It's the Oregon Sportsbook. It's the Oregon Lottery. I think they use. Yeah, I think they use DraftKings. So download the DraftKings app.
Okay, I've got that.
Remember, we used to have this great relationship with DraftKings.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
What happened
and
with that?
Tulalip Resort used to be a great sponsor of this show, and then they decided to go somewhere where they don't know anything about gambling. But that's not my problem. That's theirs. That's fine. If you download the DraftKings app and the
Okay.
Oregon Lottery. So the Oregon Lottery is the one who runs their gambling. It's not like up here, right? The Washington State Lottery doesn't do anything. The Oregon Lottery runs it. So you can bet on your phone down there. And I believe you got to check the rules. Maybe you can bet on college and just not Oregon and Oregon State, but double check on that. I don't know.
I think DraftKings, you can't bet on college down here, but we'll see. I'll find out.
But there you go.
Well,
it's right there.
Thanks for the tip.
And you're going to get actual money back.
God, well, and I wasn't looking forward to that today because, you go to the bank and, withdraw $500 and then you take it to the MoneyGram office. So last time I did it, like it's a person to person, MoneyGram to like Julio,
dude,
you're
just stop doing
there's
it.
like a name, and then the woman looks at me and she goes, "Do you know this person in Costa Rica?" And I'm like, "Well, shit, no, I don't know this person."
Stop doing it. Stop.
But I
doing
acted
it,
like I did, and then she was like, "Well, it's a felony if you're doing something." I'm like, "A felony because I'm trying to bet on football games."
You need to stop doing it because what you're doing right now is you are just throwing money away to Bets US because you're never going to get any money back.
Don't you think that no matter, based on my history, no matter what account it is, whether it's legal, illegal, in the States, offshore, that I'm probably throwing money away?
Well, yes, I do agree with that, but I'm just saying, and under the Hail Mary that you do actually win a bet, it would be nice to get some money back. And I'm just telling you, the site that you're using is never going to pay you back because they're going to pay you in Bitcoin. And apologies to all those people that are in this crypto thing. It's not real money. It's not real. There's nothing real about it. You idiots out there that think it is, it's not real. It does not exist. You can't buy a house with it. You can't buy items with it. You can't use it for anything. So stop trying to. I hate people that try to get me and convince me that it's this is the thing. You're not in crypto? Yeah, I'm not in crypto. It's stupid and it's not real. God.
You got to get with the times, Puck. Come on.
Yeah. Well, it's the Oregon Lottery. Just do it. DraftKings.
Oregon Lottery. All right.
All right, so what do you want? Another incident yesterday on the baseball field. Well, I'll make it short and sweet. All right, we just go there to go play baseball yesterday. There's a field right by my house, Whitman Middle School. It's where Ballard High School plays and practices. Nice turf field, beautiful, great batting cage. It's awesome. So we went there with a couple of kids. It's the only nice day up here this week. We're like, hey, let's get in some practice. We haven't swung a bat. We haven't done anything since August.
Yeah.
And baseball, the off-season baseball stuff is starting pretty soon. So we go there, and as it always is, there's a guy out there, in the outfield. It's fine. He's throwing the ball for his two dogs, no incidents, but we go start hitting balls, and I'm throwing BP to the kids, and they're hitting balls, and then what happens? The dogs start coming in the infield and taking all of the baseballs. I sit there and this goes on for like 5 minutes and I don't say anything. And I'm just like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I'm tired of dealing with these people because they're irrational. They're not the dog. They're not the dog owners, the people, the actual people, because there's great dog owners. You're a great dog owner. I'm a great dog owner. I've got 2 labs. I love dogs. But there's this certain entitled Seattleite that exists in this area that I want to put on the barge and sink that thing forever. Because they think their way is the only way and they can do whatever they want and rules do not apply to them. And if you ask them and you challenge them and you say something to them, they get real defensive and tell you how they pay their taxes here. And their taxes allow them to do whatever they want. So he's picking up, the dogs are picking up the balls. And he's like, apologize, sorry, I'm sorry. And so then he starts walking away. And then I keep my mouth shut. And finally I just turn around and go, this is why they can't be on a baseball field. You know that, right? And I said in a smart ass way, I'm like, and he's like, then it's typical. I knew he was going to do it. And I just can't resist myself. I can't resist not confronting these people. And he does the typical response. F you, I can do whatever I want. I pay taxes here. In which
he said F you?
Yes. I go, and then
You were telling me, though, isn't there another field that's adjacent to the one where you were?
There's another field that is, again, that has another baseball field on it, but it's grass. And then it's like a football field / soccer field, but it's all grass. They're tearing it up here next spring. It's a mud pit. It's miserable. And there's dogs that go over there. I don't care about that. Whatever, go over there.
So he could have gone over there, right?
Could have gone over there, but he's decided to come inside the fenced off baseball field at the middle school. Okay.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, I'm already pissed off because when we get in there was already like 3 groups in there throwing the ball on the infield with their dogs. And right when we walked in, they started walking away. But one of them forgot to pick up the dog shit that was on the infield.
Oh.
And so I'm like, hey, trying to wave him down. Can you pick it up? Do you have a poop bag? Do you have a poop bag to pick up? And then they just kept walking. So what did I do? I went into the garbage and found another poop bag and picked it up for them and threw it away.
God, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, because I'm a nice guy. So
it's kind of funny though. It's kind of like with kids poop when they're little. You don't mind doing changing the diaper of your own kid, but it's like with dogs. I don't mind picking up my dog's poop, but I don't want to pick up someone else's. So good effort there.
No one likes it. So then go back to the guy later, and he just starts going in about, and they all do this entitled Seattleite. That's what I'm going to start calling them, because this is not just the dog park stuff. This is anything that happens in and around like Seattle. They just feel that they can do whatever they want, and rules don't apply to them. And until the rules bother them, and then they're fine.
Yeah.
And I just said, hey man, your taxes do not pay for this. Your taxes pay for a dog park that's a half mile away that you can use. But this is a baseball field. It's a turf baseball field, by the way. And we're trying to play baseball. Your dogs are taking all of our balls. I'm just saying, can you stop doing it and get the fuck off the field? Because you guys come here every day and do this shit. And then when anybody comes and asks you to get off, you pull this shit where you say, well, my taxes pay for this. They don't. It's the dumbest excuse in the world.
Do they not want to go to that adjacent field because it's wet and muddy or something?
Yes, because it's muddy, and that's why they don't go to the dog park. Listen, the dog park around here sucks. I get it. I take my dogs there. It's miserable. I hate it. One, because it's muddy or it's dirty. 2, I don't like the dog owners that go to the dog parks. They're kind of weird. Have you ever noticed that? They're kind of a little off.
No, well, they could go to Marymore, but it would take you, 2.5 hours from
Yeah. But whatever.
Well, no, wait a minute. Let me interrupt you for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, there's a little off-leash dog park here, and I go there. And you have a thing with not wanting to talk to other people when you're in the off-leash dog park, right? Why is that?
I find them odd. They always want to just talk about their dogs, and I'm not there to talk about my dogs.
Well, what are they supposed to talk about, like business or?
I don't want to talk. My dogs aren't there to like your dogs are like my dogs. They're like, lab and a retriever. My dogs just want to fetch the ball. That's all they want to do. They don't want to socialize with the dogs. They just want to run so I'm just there throwing the ball for them.
I know, but if you're in an off-leash dog park, though, what you have in common with the other people that are there.
Yeah,
is that you have dogs.
I understand that. But if you notice that when you go to like the dog park, like those owners, they don't really care. They're just there because they don't really want to exercise their dog. They want somebody else to do it. Like, have you noticed that? Because you'll if I start throwing the ball, then another dog jumps in because they want to fetch the ball and they're bringing, all that stuff. Because they're there, they don't really want to do anything for their dog. I find dog park people odd.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll report back to you on that.
Report back how it is. Now,
I don't typically go to off-leash dog parks though, because I'm off-leach everywhere.
I know you.
So
I know. And again, I don't care if it's out like in one of like the field I described. It's whatever. I mean, My issue is like when we're on a turf baseball field and you're playing baseball, can you just keep the dogs off of the turf baseball field? Is that just too much to ask?
No.
I don't know.
Okay, get to the part where it escalated.
Oh, that's the part where he escalates. So he's just going on and on, ranting and raving about his taxes paid for this. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. They don't pay for it. Like, you're just a moron. Like, there's signs everywhere to keep the dogs off the park. I don't need, and then he's like, I don't need to do, you don't need to tell me what to do.
Wait a minute, did you use those words?
Yeah.
You said fucking idiot and moron.
Yeah. Because they are.
You didn't think idiot sufficed? You needed to, pile on with moron too?
Yeah, I really thought I should pile on. And then he said, I said, just get off the park. He goes, he said something. He goes, I could barely hear him. And he's like, oh yeah, make me do it. And I'm like, and then I'm like, excuse me? So I like walked over there. I go, what did you say again? And then I took like 2 steps towards him. He's probably like 20 feet away. And he goes, assault, assault, assault. I go, what are you doing? I've taken 2 steps towards you. You're going to assault me. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything, man. What's wrong with you? I'm not going to assault you. I'm just telling you to get the F off the field. Like, we're playing baseball here and your dogs are taking all of our balls. I was walking out of here. I'm like, dude, get off the field now. And so then I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? Dude, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. But like I hate you people so much. I'm going to take a picture of you. So I went up to take a picture of the guy. And he freaking lost his mind and slapped the phone out of my hand. And then it cocked back like he was going to hit me with his Chuckett. You know the Chuckets? The little plastic
So your
thing.
phone went to the turf.
Yeah, phone went to the turf. And then I'm just like, dude, you are just. And then the kids are there.
So do you think he was getting close to swing at you?
Yeah. I mean, I thought, yeah, probably. So then I'm like, hey, dude, I could easily just call the cops right now and say assault because you hit me, or you slapped the phone out of my hand. He goes, no, you can't. You assaulted me first. I said, I go, with what? What did I assault you with? I walked towards you. You were aggressive. I go, that's not assault, man. That's like you're an idiot. So I pretended like I was calling the cops, right, just to get him off the field. So he finally, back and forth, he finally leaves.
Did he hustle when he saw you calling?
A little bit. But then, and he's like my age, but he kind of looks aggro, and he goes, and I think he had driven there because he puts his dogs in the car. And he starts walking back, but he's like walking fast.
Ooh, God.
Now,
did you worry that he might have a gun?
And someone said that. Sugar Shane, right? I thought he had a gun. 100%. 100% thought he had a gun. So I told the kids, I said, get in the dugout. And I grabbed one of the bats and I walked toward him. I said, you come in 10 feet, I'll bash your head in if you come closer to me.
You told him that?
Yeah. I said, you get close to me, I'll swing at you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what he had.
And
I don't know. I'm with you. Oh, he didn't. He just started going off again about the dogs on the field.
Well, why'd he? So wait a minute. He put the dogs in the car and then came back?
He came back, I think, to question why I would call the cops, which I fake called the cops. But that was it, and that was over. And then there was some lady, some stupid ass lady who was another one of these Seattle entitleists that live around there that think they can do whatever they want. That was like watching all of this, and she's yelling at me, "You are setting a bad example." Like,
oh, she watched the whole thing?
She claims she did. I'm like, really? So that's it. That's the story. Yeah, it's my trigger. Those people. They just, and it's not, hold on, Jim, and I want to be clear on this one. It's not the actual fact that they're on the field. It's when you ask them, can you please just not be here when we're playing baseball? And it's the reaction of, my taxes pay for this, that just sends me over the edge. It just bothers. So what? You can run a red light because your taxes paid for the road? I don't know. I'm just, what other examples can you find? It's just this, there's this attitude in this town of people that just feels like the rules only apply to them when they want it to apply to them.
Okay, no, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead, unpack it. Go ahead.
Okay, if the guy put the dogs in the car and then he's coming back and you're thinking to yourself, he might have a gun. So then you pick up a bat to defend yourself. But what made you think, and you're not thinking clearly in that moment, I'll give you that, because you're outraged. But what made you think that bat would be any kind of defense against a gun?
Fair point.
I mean, like, you wouldn't even have gotten one swing in because you would have been flat on the ground.
It reminded me of the scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? When he's doing that one guy with Indiana Jones and he's doing all the swords, and he's whistling them all around. And then Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him. Yeah, it was like that. Same thing.
I mean, what? Well, God. I didn't know you had that side to you. So, like, what if he didn't have a gun and he just came up to you real close and started yelling in your face? You wouldn't have.
Oh, I'd hit him. I'd have hit him. Yeah.
No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
You would have? You were that mad?
If he would have got closer, yeah. These people are just.
God, I'm glad you did,
worst.
Then I would have had to stumble through this daily puck drop by myself. You would have been in jail.
Oh no, we probably would have just canceled it.
What do you think? No, I think it would have been fun for the listeners to hear me stumble through as the lead host.
Oh, you're great at it. You always think that you're not good at it.
You're
very good.
I was never great at it. I got a little better at it, but no, I was never good at it. You got the talent for it. I'm sidekick material, man. That's all I've ever been doing this.
I think Sugar Shane is right. The DPD from the King County Jail. That'd have been the first ever show. First ever show from the jail.
Wait a minute, though. One more follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
How many kids were there?
Just two.
Two. Owen and a buddy of his?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just say Owen. Like, is that the way a dad should have handled the situation? Like, if you had actually swung and bashed the guy, like, what would that have told Owen?
Probably swing. Hey, confrontation. Find a bat and swing. Yeah, you're right. No, not a good example.
No, I know. Jeez, what a role model my dad is.
You're right. No, 100%.
Son, if you have a disagreement with someone in life down the road, pull out a Louisville Slugger.
It was actually a Cat X drop 10.
Oh, yeah, one of those $700 bats.
Yeah, not quite, but close.
I know. God.
Jesus. You even want me to tell you how much money I spent on his latest glove?
What do gloves cost now? $200 or $300?
Okay, so I bought him a Rawlings Heart of the Hand. Does everyone know what that is? There's probably some dads on here. Dads listening and watching know what that is. Heart of the Hand.
What's it called? Well,
Rawlings Heart of the Hand. Like true, genuine, 100% leather.
Okay.
Take a guess.
$450.
Yeah, close. $500.
$500
for a freaking glove.
You know what I think is cool, and I didn't realize this, and it's probably been around for 10 years, where they have those machines that break in the gloves for you now.
So we're trying to find one because we've been trying to work this thing in for about 2 months. No, it's longer than that. We haven't played baseball, so whatever. But God, it's hard to break this thing in. Yeah, where are the machines he was telling me that they have it at Dick's Sporting Goods, but I need to find one of these machines to break it in.
Yeah. That's pretty cool they have that, though, because it used to take a long time to break in a glove.
Put a baseball in there, oil, you tie it up, you sleep on it.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that my kids are done with baseball now, but I still carry around their baseball gloves and a ball in case they want to play catch.
That's great, as you should. As you should.
I do. Hey, what'd you think of that guy, those Yankee fans last night?
All right, well.
Those guys should be put in jail. They should be put in jail. They need to set an example with those guys that's just not acceptable at a baseball game.
And I don't understand. Like, there was some idiot on ESPN who covers baseball, Jesse Rogers, who wrote a story on it and kind of humanized him. And I'm like, what the F is your problem, man? What are you doing?
Well, you know why he did it? Because it's probably going to be the most
clicks.
read story at ESPN.com.
Yeah, a bunch of clicks. And he's like hanging out with them and having drinks. And I'm like, the guy, it's not only that they tried to knock the ball away, they tried to rip it out of his hand. The other idiot is grabbing Mookie Betts' hand and arm. The hell are you doing? I agree with you. I think they should be, I don't know, if thrown in jail. It might be a little much. But
well, no, throw them in jail so that no one ever does it again.
That's probably right. They should never be allowed in a baseball stadium again, ever. Like have the Yankees put out any statement on this at all?
Not that I know of, but I've never seen anything like that. Did they actually think that the umpires were going to say, oh, well, no, Betts did not catch that. So
yeah. No, the Yankees still haven't put anything out there that I've seen officially that where they have like taken these guys' tickets away from them at all. Yeah,
well, they could have injured Betts.
They could have. That's the other thing too. Is they could have injured him, man. They could have they could have twisted his hand, twisted his wrist, whatever. I mean, it's like why we celebrate this stuff? Because when you celebrate shit like this and idiots like this, you know, you'll just get somebody else will try to do it. Oh, look, we got on ESPN. Oh, look, we're all over, we're all over the internet. We're all celebrated. Look at us.
You see the guy's comment too about, playing D, if they're going to come into my area, I'm going to play D.
He thinks he's part of the team.
You're a fat, stupid fuck is what you are.
He's an idiot. Absolute idiot.
I can't remember the last time I was that annoyed by a fan and what they did. I mean, that was, to open the glove and physically remove it was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway.
Let's see. Well, ESPN just came out with a headline that the two fans who interfered with the Game 4 will be refunded their tickets? No. What? What do you mean refunded their tickets?
I don't know. They should never be allowed to go to a Yankees game again.
MLB has asked the Yankees to ban the two fans who interfered in Game 4 from tonight's game. They will be refunded for their tickets.
Refunded?
Why would they be refunded? Why would you refund them? Why would you do that? No, you don't get refunded anything. You're an idiot. You acted like morons. You think you're part of the team. You're not. You pay the price. You know how you pay the price? You eat it. You eat the money. You don't get refunded your stupid tickets. What a stupid, lame punishment by MLB and the Yankees. Stupid.
It takes a lot for me anymore to see something that I can't believe, but I couldn't believe what I saw when I saw that for the first time last night. I didn't see it live.
Yeah.
I just saw it later.
Let me read it from ESPN. Jesse Rogers, the idiot that wrote the story yesterday and praising them and having fun with them, says that they're banned from attending Game 5. That Major League Baseball has instructed the Yankees to bar season ticket holder Austin Capobianco and John Peter from Yankee Stadium for Wednesday night. Source did not know if the ban would apply to any Yankee Stadium games next season.
Banned for life. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that except for the dumbass that did the act.
They should never go back in a stadium again. They shouldn't. They're just idiots.
No, if you're a Mariner fan, as much as, we love the Mariners and everything, if you saw a Mariner fan doing that, you'd be like, get him out of here. He should never come to a game again at T-Mobile.
Just morons. So there you go. That's the latest on it. There. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, good for Mookie Betts to kind of how he reacted to it, and he didn't freak out.
Mookie didn't say anything afterwards? He just
no, Mookie took the high road. He said, I don't care. I was like, I really don't not focused in on that. I mean, he gave we lost the game. I'm more concerned about losing the game than talking about those two guys.
Wow. I think if I'd been Mookie, I would have reacted differently. He probably did privately.
Yeah. Should be a great game. Game 5 tonight. Garrett Cole on the mound. Should be great. I mean, if they get this one, go back to L.A. I mean, the first time since 1970 they've even ever forced a Game 5. And, there's when a team has been up 3-0, there has never, in the World Series, there's never been a Game 6.
Huh.
So if they don't,
it's weird to pull for the. I don't know if you're pulling for the Yankees. I'm pulling for the Yankees just because I want to see a longer series. I'm not ready for baseball to be over.
yes.
And I thought it would be a classic series. And when the Dodgers took it, it's not like I like the Dodgers either or the Yankees. I don't want either one of them to win, but I would like to see a Game 7. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I would. Yes, I want to see the Yankees win tonight. For one, I want to see the Dodgers win the series, but I want to see the Yankees win tonight because I'm like you. I want the series to continue. I'd love to see a Game 7 and then watch the Dodgers win. I also, whoever the home team is, I want the team that's going to win the series to be at home. I hate when teams win it on the road. It's
do you?
Yeah, because you don't celebrate. You don't celebrate with your fans. I want the home fans to be able to celebrate when you clinch something.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a small thing. I mean, it's whatever.
I remember, though, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the Sonics won in '79 and they won back in Landover, Maryland over the then Washington Bullets. It was still cool, though. I mean, It was like, boy, they won the whole thing. But, yeah, you're right. It would have been more fun if it had been at the Coliseum in Seattle.
Right? Wouldn't have been better. Like, if they were in Seattle, it would have been more fun had they won it in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. I don't know if you heard this yesterday on the show. I said something that I was actually surprised that I didn't get much blowback from it. I was talking, and I think I know why we didn't get blowback from it, because I think people can relate to it. So I was talking to Canzano yesterday.
You don't think it's because not that many people were listening?
I didn't factor that in, but now that you bring it up, you may be right.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I was talking to Canzano yesterday about Jedd Fisch. I'm looking forward to the day when Jedd Fisch leaves, whether he leaves on his own. Washington fans will finally admit to themselves that they never liked him. They didn't like him as a coach. They didn't really want him as a coach, but they had to lie to themselves that they liked Jedd Fisch because Jedd Fisch was the football coach of their favorite football team. And I think Cougar fans did it to themselves with Mike Leach. I know I, in a way, did it with Mike Leach. And I think Washington fans, it's going to be fun for me to sit back with a cocktail to listen and to watch that when he ever leaves, because that's when the complaining and the bitching and the moaning will start, that they never really were all in on Jedd Fisch. You agree with that? Because you were outwardly, I think, from the get-go that you didn't like Leach. I was one of those who were like, oh, I'll support him. But deep down, I was like, he bothers me. I don't really like him.
Oh, I never heard that from you. I always thought you were completely on board with Leach.
Well,
I mean, a hell of a football coach. I just didn't like him at the podium. I didn't like him at the podium at all. I thought he had no class. None.
No. I'll say this about Leach.
Smartest guy in the room, no matter what. That. And yet, look what he did for our program. So I was always conflicted.
I was conflicted with him as well. It's weird. I enjoyed the Leach away from football when it had nothing to do with football, and I talked to him a few times. I really liked that guy.
Yeah, but I got sick of who's got the better mascot,
I like that stuff. What bothered me was, listen, and he revived that program. Yeah, he did. It was lifeless. It was like, and so we owe a lot to Mike Leach, but there was just a time. I mean, I think just the little stuff. I remember, when he threw his offensive line under the bus in Utah, I just thought that, man, that's just, coaches shouldn't do that kind of stuff, to their kids that are in their program. I got to admit, I thought about Leach when Dickert the other night said he apologized to Janikowski for yelling at him. I was thinking, can you imagine Mike Leach saying that in a press conference? No, he would never.
Hey, he would never I yelled at our kicker and I apapologized to him later. I mean, that would never.
And just like the little stuff, just about he never took like senior night, all that, and he didn't really care about senior night. In fact, I don't think he knew most of the players' names. He
lost me after that New Mexico Bowl when he wouldn't take accountability for losing that game, and then he left Bob Robertson sitting there waiting for him and never did come to talk to Bob Rob. I mean, that was just bullshit. But anyway, I don't know if you're right or wrong about Fisch. I like that you came out and said that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I received a bunch of feedback from it, and I will say there was only of the countless responses, I would say there was only one person who said, like, F you. The rest of them agreed. And they weren't Cougar fans. They all acknowledged.
What is the reason that they don't like him? I mean, he's been thrown in. It's a tough situation for him. All the players left, and the whole new coaching staff. It's a tough deal getting the program going.
Because I think they see through him. I think they see through who he is. Yeah, I mean, Jedd Fisch. I think you and I would have a great time with Jedd Fisch. Like, I would sit around and have a cocktail with Jedd Fisch and shoot the shit with him and BS about stuff with Jedd Fisch, and I think it'd be fun. But I think there's a lot of used car salesmen with Jedd Fisch.
Yeah.
And I don't think Husky fans, the true ones, can see through it, and they only support him just because he's the coach at Washington. That I'm telling you, when he leaves, and like they all leave, when he eventually leaves, he's out.
Well, I had to laugh because I heard Chuck and Bucky this morning. They had him on, and I listened to the interview. And Fisch at one point said he told his wife that this will be the last year one that we have, and how hard year one is when you're starting a program over again. And I remember just sitting there. Well, of course I remember. It was just a couple hours ago. I was just sitting there going, "What? What? You've had year one at how many different places now? How many stops has this guy had?" And
so he's trying to say that he's never going to have another job.
Well, yeah, but he made it sound like we're here for the long haul because we're not going to have another year one, honey. I mean, come on. He's going to have year one at Florida next year, maybe. Or 2 years from now.
I just think that people, and listen, I got a lot of buddies that are Husky fans. I talk to them all the time about this stuff. None of them, that at least I talk to, like the guy. They just like, whatever. He's there now. I hope he wins. I mean, they support him and they hope he wins. Because their football team wins, but they just all.
I mean, I don't want to defend Jedd Fisch because I'm hoping he goes to Florida, but. What a tough act to follow. Come on. You were in the national championship game last year, and then all of a sudden you come to this new program and you're trying to rebuild it, and you're 4-4.
And you're going to start.
You're going to lose, 3 of your next 4. So what are you going to finish? 5-7 this year?
And here's the stuff that you'll see when he leaves, right? Just like Troy Dan, and you're going to start hearing people say, "God, he wasn't well liked behind the scenes." Mark my word, guaranteed. I'll bet everything I owe that you'll start hearing how he doesn't treat people properly behind the scenes. Guaranteed.
So have you heard any of that about Fisch?
Guaranteed you will start hearing that he's not well liked behind the scenes.
Okay, have you heard that yourself, though?
How many more times do I have to say guaranteed you'll start hearing that once he leaves? Yeah.
Can you say it one more time?
Yeah, guaranteed.
Okay, thank you.
And especially compared to the other guys, to DeBoer. But none of those stories will come out now because people that are around the program who know those stories, they don't want to say it because they have some affiliation to the program.
Yeah.
But when he leaves, then it will all come out.
The hell of it is, as much as we like seeing the Huskies struggle, we kind of need them to play a little better, don't we?
Yeah. I know you got to go. You got to run. Good luck meeting with your realtor, and we'll see you on Friday.
Okay, Puck. Take care. Go Cougs.
Yeah, go Cougs. There he is, Jim Moore, the go-to guy. He joins us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on the Daily Puck Drop. Again, it's always live at 10 a.m. To about 11:30. And, of course, it's always up at pucksports.com later, also on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Please, if you're listening and watching the live show, always go there later. And please like, subscribe, and leave a comment, please. All right, we got to get to him. Joining us right now, from England, his weekly visit. It's brought to you by Superior Linen Service. Rob Staten joins us from SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Family owned and operated since 1926. Superior Linen Service committed to delivering the highest quality products and service to the greater Puget Sound area. Get your free quote today at suplinen.com. Give him a call, 253-383-2636. Stay updated with Rob's insights, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. It's great. Great content. His video content, his YouTube channel, Rob Staten Football, and follow him on Twitter at Rob Staten. Hi, Rob. How are you?
Good, Pug. Really good, yeah. Better for the fact that It's a whole week till we have to watch the Seahawks again.
Let's jump right into the Buffalo Bills game. I was just kind of following your remarks on social media, and you were worked up just like a lot of, I think, other people that watch this team over the years. You know, it was as sloppy, undisciplined performance that I have ever seen. Buffalo's a good football team, but boy, because of how you played, you really made it so much easier on them. You've had a few days to react to the Bills game. Opinions hold the same that you had on Sunday? Have they grown worse since then?
Pretty much the same. I think the most disheartening thing is it just looks like last season. You know, it looks like the end of last season when you get a whole coaching staff change and you make some moves in the offseason. You have, you know, especially a very good first draft pick. You expect that if nothing else, you know, you're not expecting they're going to win every week. You know, I think you and I were quite optimistic and thought that they might have a decent season. But, you know, I also anticipated there could be some growing pains with the new staff. Not just a rookie head coach, but an offensive coordinator who's never coached in the NFL before. So you kind of expect that there's going to be some ups and downs throughout the year. It looks exactly the same as it did against the Steelers at the end of last season. Wow. They're not physical. They're not tough. They get dominated in the trenches. They can't defend the run. The offense is streaky. They keep saying they want to run the ball, and then they throw it more than any other team in the league. Like, this feels like the end of the Pete Carroll era. And when you watch this now, having made all of these changes, all you can do is kind of sit back and wonder what else needs to change before we finally see something different on the field.
I want to jump into the piece that you wrote at SeahawksDraftBlog.com, a early season blueprint to try and fix the Seahawks offensive line. How do they do it? This is a long-term project, Rob. Before we get there's some long-term solutions. Is there a quick fix solution at all to try and upgrade this offensive line?
Yes, I think there is a quick fix solution. I was having a look at the free agents who are set to be available in the offseason, and I think there are one or two intriguing options. For example, Ryan Kelly, the center at Indianapolis, is set to be a free agent. He's the kind of physical, grizzled veteran that I think the Seahawks lack on their offensive line. They drafted Tanner Bortolini this season to be the heir apparent to him. So it looks as if the Colts are preparing to make a change next season and that Bortolini will take on that job. So I would go and try and sign Ryan Kelly and have that sort of experienced, proven center. I would then go and have a look at some of these right guards that are going to be available. Is Brandon Scherf going to be cut by the Jaguars? He may well be. You know, go and have a look there. James Daniels, I know he's out for the season for the Steelers, but he has consistently played well when he's been healthy as a right guard. Austin Corbett is going to be a free agent. You know, there are players out there who you could say there's absolutely no reason. Kevin Zeitler's another one who's at Detroit. You know, there's no reason not to go and be very aggressive to sign these players. And if it costs you a little bit more than you typically would be comfortable doing, so what? You have paid a lot of money for someone like Draymond Jones. You've paid a fortune in trades for players like Jamal Adams. How about being overly aggressive on the offensive line for once? So I think you make a couple of veteran additions like that. That gets you going. I think you make calls. And I understand that this is not likely to happen. I'm not suggesting that this is something that is viable. I'm just saying I make the Colts reject a trade offer for Quentin Nelson. Just go to them and say, look, what will it take? We're prepared to be aggressive. And if they say no chance, get stuffed, what's the harm in having that phone call and being told? Make them say no. And then I go and do the same with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're pushed for cap space. They have to pay Trey Smith, their right guard, next year. He's a free agent. There are other free agents. Nick Bolton, the linebacker's a free agent. They might want to make a saving somewhere. If they trade Joe Thuney, he's got 1 year left on his deal next year, it saves them $16 million. Make them say no for Joe Thuney. Go and get proven veteran quality players to play on your offensive line and shift your resource there. And then while you're doing that, go and draft some guys as well so you've got the players who can step into their shoes in the future. That's what the Eagles have done. They've got a pretty good offensive line. I'd try and copy that. We've talked about this before on the show, Rob. They have spent draft capital on offensive linemen, and we've gone through it, but they just haven't hit on it for the most part. Now, I think recently, I think they did make a very good pick in Cross. It looked like Lucas was going to be that pick, but
again, he's been, dealing with this chronic knee issue, and hopefully he comes back soon. And I know they're targeting the 49ers game for him to come back. But those are, honestly, when you think back on it, those were the two hits here since, 2010, 14 years. And I guess I wonder, and maybe we've talked about this before, just a spitball. I wonder why it's been so difficult for them, to address, the offensive line. Listen, we've talked about in the draft, the guys that they've missed, the drafting of Zach Charbonnet when you could have drafted, who was the guy that they could have drafted instead of Charbonnet that year?
Schmitz.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. But what I'm getting at is why, when they do draft these guys, they just aren't nailing them, especially in the interior.
Well, I don't want to revise history. I was a big fan of the Damian Lewis pick. I thought he was a top 50 talent. I think part of the problem the Seahawks have had is that they've not been very good at developing players. So while the Packers have been very good at drafting players and developing those players to be very good starters, I noticed people were praising Zach Tom, who's their right tackle this week. I was saying, what a player, very good player. Go and get him in. He ended up being a 4th-round pick. Seattle took Kobe Bryant instead of him in the 4th round. The Packers have taken him. The feeling was that he was going to have to move from left tackle to center because of his size. He ended up being right tackle. He's one of the best 5 right tackles in the league. The Packers are bringing players in and developing them. The Seahawks should have been doing a better job developing the players they've drafted. But if you remember, to Damian Lewis, he's a great example of this. He had a fantastic rookie season. Everyone was saying that's the right guard position sorted for the next 8 years. What did they do after his rookie season? Traded for Gabe Jackson. Even though Gabe Jackson had played left and right guard, Gabe Jackson was more comfortable playing right guard. You put him at right guard and you make Damian Lewis go and play left guard where he's never played before. It took him 2 years to adjust to that. Now he's in Carolina now, having a decent season. If you look at his grades, he's doing okay. He's too expensive, but he's doing okay. It's about drafting and developing. They haven't developed enough of their offensive linemen. And then the other thing is they have just, look, this is not hindsight. When you've done a draft blog since 2008, you've got a fair few receipts. You can point to articles where you said, I like this guy, I like that guy. There's a whole list of draft boards I've got that are published, and people can go back and check them if they want to double check this. They have decided not to take linemen that felt very predictably decent, if not above average to very good. And they opted not to take those players. The most high-profile one, of course, being Creed Humphrey when they took D. Eskridge instead. They've had opportunities to draft players. They've passed on them. They've drafted other positions instead, and they're left with a crap offensive line. They have to change this. There's no good coming out every week saying, this is the team we want to be. There's no good appointing a Harbaugh protege and then being finesse. You've got to build the kind of team that you want to be. So the time is up now for doing what they've done. They've got to do something different this offseason.
Well, I'd like to, and I don't know these guys off the top of my head, but I'm just thinking, just out loud, to look back at the 23 draft the 23 draft when they got Devin Witherspoon at 5. Listen, I like Devin Witherspoon. I understand that he can play better. This is not like, hey, Devin Witherspoon, they made a mistake in drafting. I'm just curious, how's Paris Johnson been playing with Arizona?
He's been okay. I mean, I think the 2023 draft is a difficult one. I think and look, there is some misfortune to this, that the Seahawks have ended up picking in the top 10 twice thanks to the Russell Wilson trade and their own ineptitude in one season. And they have not been in a position to draft either a really, really good-looking quarterback, like one we saw playing for the Bills at the weekend. They haven't been able to draft a fantastic, that guy's going to be a great offensive lineman for 10 years player. I thought Charles Cross was a second-round player, and I think he's been okay. They've not had a chance to draft a great offensive lineman. They've not had a chance to draft an amazing edge rusher or interior pass rusher who can wreck games. It's very unlucky. And with that Witherspoon pick, I think they were somewhat in no man's land. And I would not go back and revise that. I think Witherspoon's been poor this year, but I don't think they had great options at number 5. I think it's in the past. It's often in that day 2 range. It's when they've had opportunities to draft offensive linemen who, like I say, you study them. Because the Seahawks have been banning the offensive line puck, it's the one position I've spent more time sort of watching and scouting the college football for the last 10 years. And you end up sort of seeing these players and you build these draft boards and you speak to all these players. And I could, if I had a long list of all the players, like if I had a depth chart in front of me, I could go him, who the Seahawks haven't drafted. And you don't expect the Seahawks to hit on every offensive line pick or to pick every perfect offensive lineman in the league. No one would expect that. But to not have any hits, to only have Justin Britt be the one offensive lineman that signed a second contract isn't good enough. And then when the GM is coming out and saying, I think interior linemen are overdrafted and overpaid, and you're watching this level of offensive line play, you just end up thinking, I'm sorry, this has to change now. It's time to get the checkbook out. And it's time. Look at me saying checkbook like it's 2001. It's time to get the money out or the Bitcoin, as you were talking about earlier, and go and get some proper offensive linemen.
Where did he play? Where did he say that quote?
It was in an interview with Dave Wyman on 710.
And he said that he just, the philosophy of drafting these interior linemen is just, they get overdrafted. It's not worth it.
I think they were asking him about, I think it was after free agency when, all the money had gone to the Lewises and the Robert Hunt, who got $20 million a year. And they're asking him about it. I don't know if at that point they'd signed Laken Tomlinson or not. Maybe they had, maybe they hadn't. But he was asked about it, and he said that interior offensive linemen are overdrafted and overpaid.
Yeah, you go back to that 01 or that 21 draft. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on this show, and you've brought up, Creed Humphrey a lot, who's out of Oklahoma, gets drafted by Kansas City. I think it's 3 or 4 picks after you take D. Eskridge. And I mean, you just look at it's just first team everything, first team AP, first team Pro Football Writers, first team Pro Football Focus. I mean, he's been unbelievable since he's come into the league. And the one position that you have not been able to solve since you traded Max Unger away to the Saints as center, and he was sitting right there. And D. Eskridge has done nothing in the league, absolutely nothing. And I get it; these guys make mistakes all the time, but especially when you had such a need at that position. And then the Charbonnet year. Who was the player again with Charbonnet? One more time.
John Michael Schmidt.
Okay, and he's where is he again?
He's with the Giants.
That's right. And, it's just, I would disagree with him that, I think the interior line is massively pivotal. Sometimes I think the tackles get too much praise. And I understand where they're drafted, but to devalue interior offensive linemen when you want to be a physical running football team, you better have a center and 2 guards. I don't care what the tackles are. If you want to run up the middle, tackles ain't helping you do that.
Well, let me give you this may make your eyes water. So right. One of the things that I was against the Jamal Adams trade from day one. I couldn't believe what they gave up for him. But when you look back at that trade, the pick that Seattle gave away, their first round pick that became Jamal Adams in that 2021 draft became Christian Darrisaw, who is the Vikings left tackle who's just got injured, but I think we both agree has become a very good NFL left tackle. And even if they didn't want him, they could have taken Landon Dickerson, who is the outstanding, freshly minted interior lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles. They could have, instead of taking D. Eskridge, not just have taken Creed Humphrey, they could have taken Josh Myers, who's a very good offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers. And there were other players, going into rounds 3 and 4 who have ended up being good players. Kendrick Green was another one who we talked about loads on the blog who with the Steelers, who was physical, was tough. Spencer Brown with the Buffalo Bills. Ben Cleveland's not really worked out, someone I like, but, there were players there. Quinn Miners was somebody. I interviewed Quinn Miners. Can you remember him with the belly at the Senior Bowl? I interviewed Quinn Miners. He went at the end of round 3. He's gone on to become a very, very good interior offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos. That was a draft loaded with offensive linemen, but, they get overpaid and overdrafted. The right thing to do is to trade for Jamal Adams and pay him a fortune.
Yeah, we all know he's a good GM and he's had massive success, but I just wonder though, when he makes comments like that and he sees the struggles of this team. I mean, it's obvious to everyone, and it's been obvious to everyone for such a long period of time. They cannot block anyone. They haven't been able. We've been talking about the same storyline with this team for 10 years. They can't block.
Well, here's another thing. This is what I don't get about him, because, as you're right, he's clearly a good GM. The league, I won't hear people say he's a bad GM. This is the man who, with Pete Carroll, created one of the greatest rosters that the NFL has ever seen and won Seattle Super Bowl. He's not a bad GM. But for whatever reason, he's done a bad job with the offensive line. Like he's made mistakes. They've looked in the wrong kind of areas. They've been aggressive for safeties and not for offensive linemen. And look, this is what it comes down to for me. When they were paying Russell Wilson at the peak of his powers, and there was just that bit of unrest starting to build, Puck, between Russell Wilson, Mark Rodgers, and Schneider and the Seahawks. They had an opportunity in an offseason to go and sort out their offensive line. There was Corey Linsley available in free agency, Kevin Zeitler for the first time or the second time because he was traded, and Joe Thuney. And they didn't land any of those players. They had to go and trade for Gabe Jackson. And you could say, well, how can you compete with the Chiefs for Joe Thuney? They gave Joe Thuney a $16 million a year contract. You gave Jamal Adams $17.5 million. That's $1.5 million more. So you were clearly willing to pay that kind of money.
Yeah.
You could have blown the Chiefs out of the water. And there wasn't one person in Seattle who would have complained if you'd have gone, Joe, we're going to give you $20 million a year. Don't go and play with Patrick Mahomes. Come play Russell Wilson instead. Everybody would have applauded. I would, you would. 60,000 in Lumen would have supported that move. It would have gone down a storm. But they won't do it because it's not value. But they think it's value to trade the house for Jamal and pay him $17.5 million a year. It's a huge error. And it's one of a number of errors that they've made with the offensive line.
It's weird. It's weird, though, that he would be. I don't take him as someone that would be attracted and in love, Rob, with the shiny car. Like Schneider, where he's from, the Midwest, growing up with the Packers, that he would, those Midwest roots, right? That he understands that, it's cliche. You win the game up front. That he would be more attracted and knows and understands that it's the, what's that offensive lineman comp? The old beat up Ford Chevy pickup. That's a badass that still runs over things. It looks like shit, but you know what? It gets the job done. Like he would be more attracted to that, you would think.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because a few months ago, I reached out to someone I know who has worked with Ron Wolf very closely. And I said to him, what is Ron Wolf's philosophy? Tell me a bit about it. And he went, lineman, lineman, lineman. He said, that is what Ron Wolf would just draft the best lineman every time. That was the philosophy that he's come from. Now, I do think there's another side to this, because to play devil's advocate, if you want to put it that way, sure, or if you just want to sort of to try and balance out the argument, I think what he has done since the Russell Wilson trade is really doubled down on a philosophy, which is we're going to focus on high character players. It's why they went nowhere near Jalen Carter. Yeah. We're going to focus on best player available, and we're going to stick to the board. Now, those things make sense to a lot of NFL fans, and I certainly don't think that's a bad thing to do. But in sort of sticking to the board, what I think they've done in these last few drafts is they've been able to identify talented players, players with upside. You like Charles Cross, Boya Maffei's worked out. Ken Walker is a talented player, isn't he? And then, Devin Witherspoon, we've seen him play better than this. We know he's talented. There's something there with Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's something there with Derek Cook. Yeah. They've been able to identify talented players. But all this is done by sticking to the board and picking the best player available. They haven't actually built a team. They haven't actually built a team to fit the vision. They've built a team that the draft boards told them to build. So they've ended up with a collection of talented players in non-important positions, but they don't actually have the team that they want. And I think what you have to do is sometimes you have to be like Jim Harbaugh and go, we're an offensive line team. Malik Neighbors is the best player on the board, but we're going to take Joe Alt instead with the 5th overall pick, because that's who we are. Yeah. And that's how they've built that team. We're going to get rid of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. We're going to bring in Bozeman. And then when he tries to decapitate a defender for trying to turn Justin Herbert's leg at the weekend, I'm going to give him a game ball. And the whole fan base is going to celebrate him. I mean, that's just Harbaugh down to a T. I was sat there watching, the Bozeman tackle for the center. And then the Harbaugh game ball ceremony.
Great.
I want that. That's what I want in Seattle. But
he's so uncomfortable though when he's giving out those game balls. Don't you agree?
Oh, look, he's a zany guy. Like he is. I don't think I could handle him. But I don't want him. I want. You
want
that.
The philosophy.
Yeah, we've appointed someone who's worked with him. Like I want that. I want angry, horrible.
But that's the thing,
people in the trenches.
Is they got, at least, I think in theory, because of where he came from, they got a head coach that I think subscribes to that. Baltimore is a physical, wants to run it, and they want to beat you up. But
that's why it's going to be the acid test, because I think now they've had to have this season to realize they've got to do things differently. And that's what I hope, is that they will go into the offseason and go, enough is enough.
Yeah.
We've got to attack this offensive line. We've got to be better in the trenches. And that's why I hope there's no more false dawns this year. I don't mind winning games like they did in Atlanta. I want the Seahawks to win every game.
Yeah.
What I don't want is to win like the last two, not make the playoffs, and everyone think everything's great because they won the last two games. I want them to go, whatever happens this year, playoffs, no playoffs, NFC West title, no NFC, fourth place in the NFC West, whatever happens, please fix the offensive line.
I just think it's, there was a comment this morning. I was flipping on one of the morning talk shows, and I just happened to catch Dominique Foxworthy, who was on ESPN, and they were going over their Super Bowl predictions, and they were revisiting what they said in the beginning of the year. And Foxworthy said, first thing in giving, and I can't even remember who the team that he picked, but he goes, the first thing I look at when I predict who I think will be playing in the Super Bowl, back in August, is what's their offensive line look like? That's it. That's just, what does their offensive line look like? How good is it? Who'd they add? What do they, where is it? How does it stack up? That's the first thing he looks at. And it's not sexy for fans, and I get it. You get in love, you get enamored with D. Eskridge and the position players. And it's not fun to draft an offensive lineman in the first round or the second round or the third round, because it's offensive line play. It's boring. But and I don't know if Schneider gets caught up in that. I don't think he does. That would be foolish to say. I mean, he understands how to build a football team, but man, it is the most basic thing, I think, of all of the sports out there, that if you just can't draft that and develop it, you're just not going to win consistently. And it's the same thing in like college football. Jedd Fisch at Washington is going through the same thing, and he said it earlier this week, and just talking about how they can't be the team they want to be because of their offensive line. And he goes, we can't focus in on the portal for offensive line, because for the most part, these are guys that aren't starting at their schools, they're backups, or they're at smaller schools. We bring them here, and it's, the really good ones, there's going to be high competition for them. It's, it's just like free agency, that we have to find these guys in high school and develop them. And it's the same thing in the pros. You got to draft these guys and develop these guys. It's all got to work together.
Well, if the Seahawks had come out, if John Schneider and Mike McDonald had come out and said, we want to be the greatest show on turf, we want to bring back the high-octane passing finesse offense, then I'd have no problem with it. I think it's the biggest issue is that the identity that they claim to want to have is completely opposed to the team they've actually built. And that's what makes it really, really difficult. And this is obviously the team that John Schneider and Pete Carroll built more so than Mike McDonald, who's only been here 1 year. But let me read you, Puck, in the top 6 cap hits for this season. Top 6 cap hits on the Seahawks this year. Second is Tyler Lockett. Third is DK Metcalf. Sixth is Noah Fant. So half of your top 6 cap hits are on 2 receivers and a finesse pass-catching tight end. And Geno Smith, the quarterback, is the top one. The only 2 linemen who are amongst that top 6 are Draymond Jones, who's been awful, and Leonard Williams. So therein lies the problem. Like, next season, the top cap hits cannot be people like Noah Fant. The top cap hits need to be a guard, and it might not be a particularly exciting guard. It just needs to be somebody who can, run block. And then the other thing they've got to do is they've got to defensively, look, we're talking a lot about the offensive line, rightly so.
It's good. It's the offensive line show of record.
Yeah. But the defense has got to find out some solutions here, because that's the one thing, is they have actually spent a lot of money on the defensive line. Landon Williams, Byron Murphy, Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed, Jonathan Hankins, 2 second-round picks at edge rusher. Uchenna Nwosu has been injured, obviously. To be as bad as they are on defending the run is unacceptable. You cannot win games of football playing this way. There isn't a team that looks like Seattle defending the run right now. It is embarrassing to watch. So, yes, they need to fix the offensive line. I think a bit of pressure has to be applied to Mike Macdonald and his staff to fix the defense. And the reason I think the big problem is here, Puck, is that Mike Macdonald did not have a rich contacts book when he became an NFL head coach. He'd only been a defensive coordinator in the NFL for 2 years. I don't think he expected the year before he became the Seahawks head coach to be in the running for these jobs, because he wasn't on anybody's radar in the media. So he's been thrust into this position. They had to do a lot of interviews. Like, Jim Harbaugh knew that Greg Roman was going to be his offensive coordinator 17 seconds after he accepted the job. Mike Macdonald had to interview offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. He'd never met Adam Dirty before. He'd never met Ryan Grubb before. He didn't have the contacts. And there aren't enough people, in my opinion, on his defensive staff who know how to coach his scheme. It's as much a learning curve for them as it is for the players. And I think that's a problem. I think they've got to go out in this offseason and get somebody who knows this scheme. And the name they should go out and get, in my opinion, is Wink Martindale. He is the mentor for Mike Macdonald. He's at Michigan right now. He's basically having a year in college football because that was the gig that was available to him. Bring Wink Martindale in to come and support Mike Macdonald and have another body in the building who understands this defensive scheme to sort it out. You can call him assistant head coach if you want. You can make him the defensive coordinator, whatever it is. Open that Bitcoin book again and go and get Wink Martindale in the offseason and bring him in.
It's not real. You know it's not real.
I'm with you. Don't worry.
It's just not real. Stop. And I want to hear anybody tell me it's real. It's not real. Yeah, I just, this is the up and down nature, I think, of this football team every week. And it's okay to be up and down. I think one week you can be all excited about what they're doing, and the next week you can be down on it. I think even when we were excited what they did in Atlanta, I think you still acknowledge, the holes on this football team. That's, you and I went back and forth on it. Like, I want them to get to the postseason. I want them to win it. To get into the postseason. I want them to experience the playoffs. But I still do. And your point was I don't want to see them in the playoffs. It's just I don't want them to get in and then think like everything is great in the world. They've got no issues. I totally understand. I totally get that, because even if they were to sneak in at 9-8 or 10-7, which I think they're capable of doing, it does not solve the number one issue with them, which has been the number one issue for a decade, is that they are soft up front on both sides of the football.
Can I, because this, obviously we've done a lot of talk about negative things. Can I give you a bit of light to this offensive line?
Yeah, yes.
So on top of the fact that there are some veterans who are going to reach the market, Zeitler at right guard, Daniels at right guard, Cobbett at right guard, and Ryan Kelly at center, who in particular are the names that I would, and possibly Brandon Scherf and maybe one or two others who will get cut. So there are going to be some options there. In the draft, I think, it's not a rich, deep offensive line draft, but there are some players, if people want to go and check these players out, they are, that you can go and watch them on YouTube. Go and have a look at Tyler Booker, left guard at Alabama. He is ready-made for the NFL. Big, 325 pounds, 5-star recruit. Very, very intense, great, very mature individual, the heart and soul of the Alabama team. They need a few more guys like him, quite frankly, on that Alabama team. He is a dude. I think if I was going to do a mock draft today, Puck, and I don't do them because they're pointless in October, but if I was going to do one today, Tyler Booker would be the guy that I would pair with the Seahawks. So I think, he can come in and he can start at left guard next year. If they keep losing, they'll be in contention for Kelvin Banks, the Texas left tackle who's going to move inside to guard. There's Josh Connolly at Oregon. There's Donovan Jackson at Ohio State. There's people like Jonas, I can't pronounce his second name, Savanea, I think it is, or something like that, at Arizona, who's going to move inside to guard. Dylan Fairchild at Georgia, very good, aggressive, physical blocker, wrestling background. And then at center, you've got Logan Jones, you've got Jake Majors, you've got Jared Wilson, you've got Josh Kreutz. There are players in this draft who you can bring in to help support your offensive line. So I'd like to see a combination of veterans coming in and an influx of talent in terms of the draft to really sort this out, because until they sort it out, they're not going to be a proper football team. They're not going to be the kind of team they want to be. And there are other issues. They've still got to add to the defense. I still think they need to start investing in young quarterbacks. They can't just keep going year to year with Geno Smith and whoever they can bring in back in as a backup. There has to be a plan for the future. So they're going to have to draft someone eventually. But right now, it's very hard to look at this offensive line and think, how on earth have they ended up in this situation again?
Yeah, and I don't want. I mean, here's the thing: we get in the discussion. They don't have to do anything in terms of a financial, commitment to Geno Smith. I don't want to see any significant capital spent on him. Significant capital that puts him in the upper tier. And again, this is not a indictment on Geno. I think he's a fine quarterback. He throws a pretty ball, and I think, and what I'd like to see is what he would look like with to steal your phrase, a proper offensive line. Okay. But you know what? You can't get that proper offensive line if you're going to pay him the amount of money that he and his agents want. You just won't. You can't afford it. And so, I hope he would realize that. I mean, he can certainly get some money, but he can't get paid what he thinks he deserves. And I think therein lies some of the issues with him. As we maybe just transition here a little bit to Geno, is that, the frustration I think he has shown away from the field, on the field, coming off the field, sidelines, throwing footballs at people, yelling at wide receivers on the field, appears to be crying on the benches. I think that he's under a lot of pressure. I think he came into this year thinking, I'm going to be in this high-flying offense, okay, with Ryan Grubb. This is going to make me a lot of money because I'm going to put up some crazy numbers. Because we're going to be throwing, we got this new offensive attack. I see it on paper. I see it on film. Look what Michael Penix did last year. We're going to do the same thing here this year. I mean, he doesn't have the offensive line. That's the biggest problem. And at the end of the year, I'm going to lead almost every statistical category in the NFL, and I'm going to get paid. And I think that's a lot, if not the 100% of the problem why he's acting the way he's acting.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And the other thing that I think is probably affecting him right now is that because, escalators in a contract can be a great motivating factor. And it can also help you get a player to be a little bit cheaper than they'd otherwise would be with the carrot of going to earn more money by performing. And a few games into the year, he looked like he was going to tick pretty much all of those escalators and was going to earn possibly like another $10 million for his performance. And a few weeks later, I'm not sure he's going to hit any of them. Maybe the yardage one he will hit and that's it. And that will be affecting him. So I think he is a player who wears his heart on his sleeve. I think that's probably good in the locker room before a game. He probably stands in the middle and gets everyone going. But then during the game, when things go wrong, it's an absolute nightmare. Yeah. And that you can't have your quarterback throwing a football at a defensive lineman, petulance. You can't have him having a sulk and needing DK Metcalf of all people to go over and calm him down. Like you can't be this just cannot be happening. And I'm afraid to say that his performances, it's probably one of the most maddening thing about the Seahawks fan base is that there is such extreme opinions on Geno Smith. But I really think the idea that he needs to be paid a massive contract just needs to stop. It just needs to stop. Like he's under contract for next year. They're going to go year to year with this guy. He's going to be 35 next year. He's got a cap hit next year of something like $38 million. They just need to go into next year and then into the offseason, and they need to make a call. And they're going to have to make a call. Do we want to go for another year of Geno, or do we want to move on? And I'm afraid to say it. Like I know there's a lot of people going to hate me saying this, but it might be better for the Seahawks to save money at quarterback, invest in that offensive line, and either just turn it over to Sam Howell, who will have had a year in the system, or go and draft somebody and be cheaper at quarterback. Because, it might be that you're worse at quarterback next year. It'd be quite possible that is the case. But, you're either on the path to glory or you're not. And I'm afraid paying Geno Smith $40 million a year and being a 500 team and being streaky and everything like this, maybe this part of the bigger rebuild needs to be not paying a quarterback for a little while.
Yeah, I would be hesitant with Sam Howell. I don't think there's anything there.
I don't either.
I don't think there's anything there with him.
I think what you could do though is you could look for the next Sam Darnold or the next Geno Smith.
He's a free agent.
Or Baker Mayfield. These players who have failed and then have been given a second chance and have done okay and have provided value. Like maybe you should go and find somebody like that. Or maybe you just draft somebody.
Well, Darnold is a free agent.
Yeah. I think he'd be quite pricey.
His market value, according to Spotrac, would be 4 years, $133 million.
Wow. That's quite a change for him in the last 7 months.
You think?
There'll be others, though. There'll be others.
Justin Fields?
I've never been a fan. I think there will be other players, though. There'll be players who, look, we're seeing it now. You've seen, Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson both been benched. There are going to be players out there that you could. And look, listen, like I say, you may have to take a step back at quarterback.
I found one. You know who's a free? Who's a free agent?
Go on, who?
Say it. Come on.
Well, yeah, I know you're going to say it's Russell Wilson.
Do it. Bring him back.
I'm pleased for Russ, man.
Come on, Rob. Would you do it right now? If he's available, hold on. Just answers. Would you bring Russell Wilson back?
Yeah, I would. I mean, like the way he's playing right now, yeah. I mean, like, but he has to. It's never going to happen because Mark Rodgers and John Schneider won't. They've probably got like a restraining order out on each other.
Never say never. Never say never.
Oh man,
can you imagine if they did?
Well, listen, he turned up to Pete's farewell. Like, there's, I mean, it'd be a great story, wouldn't it? I mean, like, imagine if he had a good season in Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh go, do you know what? We're going to take Shadir Sanders or something instead. We're going to move on, right? And then Russell came back and just finished his career in Seattle with a decent season as a transition to whatever's next. I mean, it'd be a nice story, wouldn't it? I mean, look, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it, but you know what? It'd be a great story. I don't think there's any chance, but it would be a nice, romantic story. Oh my God,
I would eat it up. I would eat it up if they brought him back. Would be fantastic theater. For what we do, forget the football stuff. Oh my God. They went back and said, hey, wouldn't you want to come back home? Come on. We get the catchphrases back. We get the press conference where he names the entire team. We get the videos with Sierra back. Oh, yeah. God.
Do you think they do it? Do you think they like do another, hey, Seattle, we got a deal?
Hey, video hey Seattle. Hey, Seattle, we're back. I mean, come on.
I'd be all for it. And I don't think Russ would be the problem. I think Russ could probably, there's a chance that Russ and John could maybe sort of patch things up. But whether the agent could or not, I'm not sure. But it'd be a great story. And when I was watching the game the other day and I'm seeing him throw those deep passes downfield, in a proper, in exactly this, by the way, the offense that the Seahawks won, they're playing Seahawks football in Pittsburgh. And that you think, and he's being the point guard, and you're thinking, I'm jealous of that. I was jealous of the way Tomlin was looking at him and looking with a glint in his eye, like, that's my boy. It's good. I enjoyed everything about the game the other day. And I'm glad for Russ. It looks like he's going to have a good season. I'm pleased for him. And if he was the right price, I would not hate it. I mean, why not? Why the hell? Why the hell not?
I'm telling you.
It's not going to happen, though.
You imagine the content we would have. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God.
I like it when guys come back. Like I liked it when Marshawn came back for that random 6 weeks. I can remember sitting at the breakfast table. This is going to make me seem really strange. Like getting quite emotional that Marshawn had come back. Like I was like the Seahawks did that run out of running backs. They were pretty much on the brink of giving me a call and saying, "Have you ever run for 3 yards a carry?" Like, and then just Marshawn came back in the hour of need, and it just thought. I thought, this is amazing. This is what sport's about. It's stories like this.
Yeah.
And there would be something that would make, and you know what? All of the people who fell out with him and didn't like him and all that, they'd be right back on board.
All in.
They'd be straight back in there.
They would be all in. All right. Rob Staten, every week, brought to you by Superior Linen Service, family owned and operated since 1926, committed to delivering the highest quality products and service to the greater Puget Sound area. Get your free quote today at suplinen.com. Give them a call, 253-383-2636. Follow Rob up on Twitter at Rob Staten, his YouTube channel, Rob Staten Football, all of his work, including a long article on how to fix the offensive line up at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. You can catch this episode on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Leave comments there, please, including your thoughts on Russell Wilson. Also, listen to it up on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, up at PuckSports.com. Rob, we'll talk to you next week. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah, there he is, Rob Staten, joining us every single week here on the Daily Puck Drop. I'm going to go check out all of his work there at Rob Staten, at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Come on. Bring him back. Do it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they did do that? Let's get to it before we wrap it up. Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One in North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-87, or excuse me, slow down. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com. North Seattle franchise on the video stream on YouTube and on Twitter. Click your phone on that QR code. It's going to take you right there to restoration1.com. Let's go there with Hey, What the Puck. Why not? I want to see the comments on this one. Leave a comment on YouTube, Puck2040 on Twitter. Email me up at pucksports.com. Go there. The email is up there, or at pucksports.com. Would you bring him back? Russell Wilson is a free agent at the end of the year. It's 2 games he's played with the Niners. It's gone well for him. You know eventually that they will mend the fences that obviously were damaged on his departure. And before anyone tells you, oh, it's too soon, it's never too soon. He will one day come back, and one day he will be inducted into the Ring of Honor. He's already come back and celebrated, as Rob said, people's birthdays. He was there when Pete Carroll left. And I understand. Connor, I get it. Connor writes in on the stream, never going to happen. I'm not saying that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just asking, would you want it? If you want to move on and find, keep in mind, it's a cheaper option too. Now it gets more expensive as it goes up, and he's older. I mean, he's 35, 36. But if you don't want to bring back Geno Smith, who's going to have a massive cap hit next season, we spent this entire show with Rob talking about what they want to do with the offensive line and how they should rebuild it. You need a cheaper option. He would provide that. Now, maybe he ends up being happy in Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know which way I'd side on this one, but come on, it's a great topic. It's unbelievable because you have on both sides people that are very adamant about it. Would you want to bring him back and give him a year or 2 and then find the quarterback? Because one thing is they don't have a quarterback. And Dan writes, Dan lobs this in on the chat on YouTube or Twitter. No, build towards the future. Okay, I agree with Dan, but the future's not Geno Smith. He's not the future quarterback. Sam Howell's not the future quarterback. I mean, hell, the future quarterback is college somewhere. Who that is, no clue. But right now, they need to focus in on bringing up and maintaining that offensive line and making that offensive line better. Derek says John Mateer. Sure, John Mateer, great. Would you do it? I didn't. I was looking at those quarterbacks and I was going down because Sam Darnold's out there. I'd monitor Sam Darnold just to see how his season's going because he's been great with Minnesota and he's going to get paid and he's not going to go back to Minnesota because he's not going to be the starting quarterback at Minnesota. That's J.J. McCarthy's job. Sam Darnold will be a free agent. Sam Darnold is going to command a lot of money in the offseason. And at 27, we always talk about this all the time. It's about the system that you go to. Is the system perfect for you? Sam Darnold is thriving in Minnesota right now because that system with Kevin O'Connell is perfect for him. Would the system here with Ryan Grubb be perfect for him? He's got a big arm. Would the system be perfect for Russell Wilson? I mean, Geno Smith is good in it. And whoever you put back there is going to struggle because of the offensive line. But we got to spitball this around. I want you to pour yourself a cocktail, and I want you to talk to your buddies later tonight. I want you to talk to your loved ones. Wives, talk to your husbands. Husbands, talk to your wives. Bring this up to your kids. Go to a baseball field where there's dogs running around it and shitting all over the place and bring it up to them when you're yelling at them to get off the field. Would you bring Russell Wilson back because he is a free agent at the end of the season? Discuss amongst yourselves. All right, that's it for the Daily Puck Drop. Hey, what the puck? Brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. Give them a call, 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. And again, if you click on that QR code, that will take you right to the website for restoration1.com. David Johnson writes in, can I have a cocktail now? You can do anything you want, David. It doesn't matter. It's 11:30? Yeah, sure. What kind of cocktail are you drinking, David? Bloody Mary? Mimosa? Red beer? Whatever you want. David, it is your life. You do whatever you would like to do. All right. Thank you for checking in today. And again, if you're listening to this later, we go live every single day, 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. It's on Twitter. It's also on YouTube. It's interesting. It's kind of, it's more people watch on Twitter than they watch on YouTube. It's kind of split. Well, that's not split. It's heavily dominated by Twitter. Most of the comments come from YouTube, though. I don't know how you guys watch. Everyone always asks me, what's the best way to watch and support? It doesn't matter. All of it helps. So whether you watch on YouTube or Twitter or listen on the Puck Sports mobile app, again, live shows every day at 10 a.m. If you're listening to this later, hit that live stream app button. It's the top play button at the top of the Puck Sports mobile app on iOS devices. Hit that. Again, it's only live when we go live. So when you click it outside the live button, it's going to say it's unavailable. It's working. It's just unavailable because there's no live show. So if you're listening to this later, just keep in mind every day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m., we do go live. But I know a lot of you listen to this later in the day or watch it later, which, again, you can find it up on YouTube. Also listen to all the shows on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, pucksports.com. And then, again, going back to how can we support, I'm going to have some news coming out here in the next 24, 48 hours about that. Something that we're going to be changing a little bit. It's not really going to affect you. It's not going to affect any of the regular content. But we'll share that coming up soon. So if you'd like to help, if you'd like to support, and you like pucksports.com, hopefully you will continue to support and join the new venture that we're going to unveil here coming up here in the next day or two. All right, that's it for now. Please, if you're a Coug fan, go check out Old Crimson Cougars podcast. Myself, Jamie Vinnick, no Jim Moore, no Paul Sorensen this week. They had better things going on. Also, Cougs Corner with head coach Jake Dickert. We talked a lot. His sideline outbursts against Mateer and Janikowski. Halloween costumes, Halloween candy. It's a great visit with the head man there at Washington State. Coming up tomorrow, you'll have the Puck the Huskies podcast coming out. And also, we'll have a special guest on Thursday joining us for our opponent preview. Former Seahawks great joining us for our opponent preview coming up on Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!